Alright, what's up, guys? We're back here with another movie review, and we're continuing our series of reviewing all of Stephen King's adapted movies. And now we're on to a little movie called 1408. This was another movie that I did not need to go back and rewatch because I've seen it so many times, but the situation is different with this one. I actually highly enjoy this movie, and what I'm going to be there's two endings of this movie. And what I'm going to be doing with this movie is going off the deleted ending, which is better in my opinion. I think the original theatrical ending sucks and it ruins the movie. So I'm going off the ending that I liked and that I fell in love with, and is actually the first one that I watched. But I didn't know about the second ending until I because the first time I watched it on Amazon Prime, and it had the deleted ending for some reason the deleted ending was on there. So when I picked up a copy on DVD, I watched it and the ending was completely different. So I just decided, well, I'm going off the ending that I thought was good, because I think the theatrical ending is garbage. The theatrical ending ends up with John Cusack's character surviving, which he's on the cover there. He ends up surviving and being with his wife. And there's a whole twist where he caught his daughter's voice over to like this little tape that he had in the room with him. It's a stupid fucking ending, and I hated it. The ending where he dies is so much more heart-wrenching and just so much better in my opinion. Because it's basically like, all I'm going to say before I go into the plot of the movie, because I am going to go through the plot of the movie on this one. And I'm going to try to go through the plot a little bit better on these movie reviews like I was doing. But, like I did with It Chapter 2 and It Chapter 1 and It and Pet Sematary and all that. But, oh man. Anyway. Basically, the ending of this is just like, well, if I'm going to die, I'm going to take you out with me. It's killer ending, and I loved it. But when I watched the second ending, I'm like, holy shit, this sucks. It ruined the movie for me. That second ending just ruined it. I'm going off the ending that I like, because I'm going to give it a way better rating that way, and I think it was better directed that way. But anyway, on to 1408. Oh my god. This was a movie that because it was a 2000s PG-13 horror movie. I really didn't expect much from it, because a lot of the movies that came out in the 2000s that were PG-13 and horror movies, a majority of them sucked. I'm looking at the Boogeyman franchise, most of the Grudge sequels, most of the Ring sequels. I even look at The Ring. The Ring wasn't that good. I'm sorry. I didn't like it that much. Then there was Cry Wolf. There's just a mountain of them. Just shitty horror movies that came out during the 2000s. And I looked at this one and I was like, I'll watch it, but I'm not looking forward to it. Because this one was, I don't know, when I glanced at it, before I even had watched this was years ago. I watched this when I was like 14, but I'm 19 now. But this was years ago, and I was just like, the first time I looked at it, I'm just like, 2000s horror movie, PG-13? I don't know about this. And I was actually pleasantly surprised, because I watched the deleted ending firsthand. And you know what? It bettered my movie experience, because if I would have watched that second movie ending first, I would have hated it, because the second movie ending sucks. So, continuing, Samuel Jackson and John Cusack in 1408. Now, 1408, before I even continue, is an example of a pocket of the Crimson entering our world, kind of like the Overlook Hotel in The Shining. And, you know, it's that way with the hotel room in 1408. Now, continuing to the movie review. So the movie starts off, we get to meet this writer. He's John Cusack, and for about 20 minutes into the movie, we get to see what he does during his daily life. He looks through mail and stuff. He goes on to beach vacations or whatever. He likes to surf, I think. And we also figure out that he is a author of... Oh, God damn it. Do you guys know those he's an author of like books like top 10 most haunted places on earth, and he goes to these places firsthand looking for ghosts, but he's never found anything. And he's one of those ghost adventures type. He just writes these books about like top 10 most haunted mansions on earth, top 10 most haunted asylums on earth, and he goes to these different places and spends like 24 hours in them. And he goes around there looking for like spots where people were murdered and stuff, and he does find the original spots where people were murdered and stuff using like UV light. He finds like the original blood patterns that never disappeared. He ends up finding them, but he never sees any ghosts. And he gets this postcard in the mail, and it's to this hotel called the Dolphin Hotel. And I haven't seen this movie in a year and a half, and I still remember everything because I've seen it like 10, 20 times. I am not shitting you. I watched this movie like 10, 20, 30 times. I can't even remember it. I can remember it like yesterday. So he gets this card from the Dolphin Hotel. And I guess on the card it says it invites him, and there's like, it's fucking haunted. Nobody cares. And he at first he brushes his hold on. At first he brushes the card off as well, this is probably just some other shitty location, but he figures he needs another place to finish off the book. So he decides to go over there. And to everybody's delight, Samuel L. Jackson is the manager / desk guy at the hotel. And he goes there to book the room, and he has trouble with Samuel Jackson. Samuel Jackson tries his hardest to make John Cusack not take the room, but his agent forces Samuel Jackson to give him the room. Samuel Jackson even tries buying him whiskey. He hands him the file cases on the room or whatever. Hold on. Anyway, he hands him like the file cases on the room with all the murders and stuff in it, because there was like a bunch of shit that happened in this room. Like, I remember there was one, let's see if I can remember them all. There was one dude that slit his throat open with a sewing machine and then tried to sew his throat back up, but then he bled to death. There's another chick that stabbed her eyes out with a pair of scissors. There's been several people that have jumped out the window, hangings. They slit their wrists in the room. Oh, god damn it. I think that was all that I can remember. I know there was a couple more, but that's all I can remember. Oh, yeah, there was one dude that died in the bathtub. One dude that died on the bed. One dude that died in the corner. It's just a bunch of people that got killed in the room, but he hands him the files, and John Cusack refuses, and John Cusack gets his agent to rent the room out. Oh, and Samuel Jackson tells him you're not going to last more than an hour in there. So he goes in there, and right away, it's as hot as hell in there. So he's trying to fix the thermostat in there, and so he calls the maintenance guy up, and the maintenance guy won't go in the room, so he just tells him how to fix it. He fixes it, maintenance guy leaves. So the next thing that happens, the radio starts playing by itself. I forget what song it is because it's been a year and a half, so I'm not going to remember every single detail, but I can remember a majority of the plot. So the radio starts playing, and John Cusack just brushes it off. So he starts talking in his little fucking recording box thing. Recorder. He starts talking in a recorder, and he's telling himself, I don't know, he's telling the recorder that there's like nothing going on so far. So then he goes to walk out and find some snacks, because there's like a fridge in the room full of snacks, and the snacks are super expensive in the fridge. So he decides to buy some peanuts from there that are like $20. Jesus. So he gets some peanuts out, and he goes back to the bed, and there's 2 chocolates placed on the bed, and the toilet paper in the bathroom's like all folded and stuff, which is really odd. So he brushes it off as somebody's already in the room, but the door won't open now. And it's getting like really fucking hot in there. And Now, next thing that happens is the radio starts playing, and the radio gets this 60 minutes timer put on it. And the music starts playing again, and John Cusack's freaking out. And so there's multiple... See, the thing that I like most about this movie, you're confined to one room. You're directing in one room. There's only so much you can do in this room. And you know what? They use the full room's capacity. They try their best to stretch this out for an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. And you know what? They did a good job at it. That's why I appreciate this movie. I do not appreciate that second ending. So we're going off the original ending. So he gets stuck in this room, and so he tries to call room service because the door's locked and it's getting hot in there, and the radio's flipping its shit. So he decides to call the desk, and it's like the phone melts in his hand, if I remember correctly. So he calls him, and then it says, "You're not allowed to leave, not ever." And then the phone melts in his hand. So then I think the next scene is he opens up the fridge, and Samuel Jackson is standing inside there. A miniature Samuel Jackson is standing inside the fridge, and he's telling him that he told him so. And it does a pan out shot, and you see that Samuel Jackson is destroying the fridge for no reason. So then John Cusack gets the wonderful idea to try to signal somebody in the apartment building across from his, because so there's there's two windows in the building. There's one in the bedroom and one in the living room of the apartment building. I mean apartment. So he decides to open the window in the bedroom and signal somebody in the building across from that, and he sees somebody, but he looks out the window and I guess he looks out the window, and he sees another version of himself. So John Cusack picks up the lamp next to him and shines it out to see who it is, and it's actually another version of himself wearing different clothes, but it's him when he still had his daughter. So then we get a backstory of, apparently his daughter got cancer and she died, and he was like a smoker or something, and he was just abusive and mean towards his wife because of the daughter dying of cancer, and eventually they split apart. So then the window closes on his hands and bloodies up the backs of his hands, and he drops the lamp down in the street below, but when it does a pan out shot again, and we get to see that the lamp just disappears in midair when it doesn't even hit the ground. So the ground below is fake. Anyway. Then we get a jump scare with there's like a ghost woman in the corner, and she comes swinging at him with a hammer, but it's fake. So then he tries to go in the bathroom and heal his hand. He tries to wash it off with some water, but then the water starts like spraying out, and it's like scalding hot. So what he does is he gets a towel and he like wraps it up. Well, he wraps it up in like toilet paper or something. I forget what it was. So he wraps up his hand, and now he's got a bloody hand. So then he starts seeing these visions of this woman in a waiter costume, and hold on. Just hold on a second. Okay, so he gets this. So he gets a vision. He gets a vision of this woman in a waiter costume, and she keeps jumping out the window, but she's like this hologram version of herself. Oh, God damn it. And then after that, the wall starts breaking in front of him, like the wall in the living room, and starts like breaking and shit. And so he just, well, it starts breaking, and then like blood comes out of it, and then he starts hearing ear rape level of baby cries from it. So what he decides to do is, he's seeing these holograms jump out the window, so he decides to open the window in the living room area and walk out onto the ledge and try to scalpel across to the other apartment building. But once he scalpels over there, he finds that there is no window there. All the windows are gone except for the two in his room. So he tries to scalpel back, and the hologram lady's jumping out the window again, and it scares the shit out of him. He almost falls over, but then the window starts closing by itself, and he gets in the room just in time before the window slams shut. So then he looks behind him, and now the windows have been all bricked up, so there's no way to get outside now. And so then he tries to get up, and he looks at the ceiling vent in the living room, and he finds that there's a camera in there. This is just a way of the evil room playing a trick on him. So now he thinks someone's playing with him, so he decides to get up in the vent. He goes up there, and he looks down into another room, and he looks down the vent, and he sees his wife when his daughter was still a baby, because his daughter died when she was like 7 or 8. So she was still a baby, and the wife was holding the baby, and we see that he was being abusive towards her. Then we get to see that he had a horrible relationship with his father. We get to see all this stuff. Then we get this jump scare with this dead body in the vent, and I guess the dead body starts chasing him through the vent, and he finally gets back in his room and gets out of the vent. Dead body does not follow. So then he's freaking out. So he tries to get through the door. He starts beating on it and stuff, and he looks at the map on the door, and now the only thing on the map is his room. So he rips the map down and tries to get this ice pick from the beer drawer and start picking at the doorknob. So he manages to get the doorknob off, and he looks through the hole. The door still won't open, so he looks through the hole, and there's like blackness everywhere. So then there was this painting of a pirate ship or something on the wall, and it had that ghost woman with the hammer from earlier on it. So then this painting bursts open, and there's water everywhere. There's this scene where he starts drowning, and then the next scene we get, he's like burning playing cards and papers, and he's also burning the files for a fire in the apartment building, because now the apartment building is filled with snow. So he starts burning that, and he decides to pull out his laptop and Skype his ex-wife. And she's wondering where he is because his camera's breaking up, but then the room creates an entity version of himself and says to the woman that says to his wife that she should come over here and help him. So then the computer breaks, and John Cusack's pissed about this because he didn't want her to come. He was just trying to apologize for everything. So now she's coming over to the apartment building, and when she gets over there, she can't see him at all because he's like nowhere, because they went in the room and he's not there. And oh shit. Okay, next part. So then he walks in the frozen bathroom, and his dead father is lying in a wheelchair, and he has a heartfelt conversation with him. And then the room changes again, and now it's all destroyed and burnt and stuff. And he sees his daughter come towards him, and there is he sees his daughter come towards him, and there's like a conversation there, and then his daughter bursts into ashes, and then he wakes back up inside the room, and now he decides, well, shit, all that was fake. And then the hour starts over again. So he decides to take so the room is back to normal now, and the hour starts over again. So he decides to take the whiskey that... Oh, goddamn. He takes the whiskey that Samuel Jackson gave him in the beginning of the movie. This is the original ending that I watched, and this is why I like this movie so much, is the original ending. So he takes the whiskey that Samuel Jackson gave him, and he decides to put a cloth inside of it and set it on fire and blow the room up with a Molotov cocktail and kill himself in the process. So the movie ends with him dying and Samuel Jackson going to the going to the funeral and apologizing to his wife, and she forgives him. Oh yeah, there's also this one scene where it's a fake out and you think he escapes, but then he's actually just back in the room. It's just to fuck with him. But that's not important. So Samuel Jackson goes to the funeral, apologizes to his wife. She says it's okay. So Samuel Jackson goes back in his car, and he's got a box of John Cusack stuff, and he pulls out his recorder and he starts listening to it. But then we get a jump scare of Burt John Cusack in the back seat. So Samuel Jackson turned off the recorder and decided to drive home. That's how the movie ends. Because apparently dead John Cusack doesn't want him listening to his dead daughter's voice, which is completely understandable. So yeah, 1408. I just went through the entire plot. How do you guys feel? Yeah, I'm not going to give this movie an A+, but you know what? I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to give, with the original ending, not with the ending where John Cusack survives because it sucked, but with this ending, I'm going to give it an A. But if it was the original ending, so with this ending, I'm giving this movie an A. But with the the deleted ending where he survives, I'm going to give it a C. So A, the ending that I saw first, and C for the deleted ending. Sorry, that's just how I am. So remember, leave a comment, like it, and subscribe, and I'll be back here with more.